Hello pandas and scrap enthusiasts, welcome back to the shop. Today's mission is simple. We have a small heap of scrap bits that have piled up that need a little bit of processing, and I am hopeful that after we go through this bunch and we trade it in for cash at the scrapyard, that could put us over the hump where I can order the whole pile of parts that I've been looking forward to for the car. And then we can finally get that thing feeling like new, or kind of like new. It's a Toyota. It'll last for... It needs some love. And that's what we're here to do today. So these things have piled up, and normally I would have separated these things into different piles and have them saved up to do a specific video on something like motors or wire or whatever. But I've mostly done all the ones that I had planned, so this is just going to be a little bit of everything all at once. I'm not really going to run a timer. We're just going to spend the afternoon out here. We got the fireplace going, and we'll see how far we get. I think it looks like a good amount of value sitting there. So let's find out. Join me. If you've got a project to do on your own, well, let's work together. It could be fun. That parallel play kind of a thing. Anyway, we're going to get started. And if you know me, you'll know I like to kick things off with some of the largest objects to make a visual impact. And that really helps feel like you're, making a big stride forward. So that's going to start with these bits of aluminum. Now, some of these aluminum edges can feel pretty annoying. They can be easy to take apart, and some can be awful. This one seems not too bad. Pulling is a bit weird, so we'll just force it out the edge there. At least down to where it's all damaged and it's got an extra pinch. Yep. Doesn't matter. The other end wasn't damaged, so it slid out pretty good. And as with many things, there are a ton of screws. In the grand scheme of things, these things probably weren't worth doing, but we did get an armful of extruded aluminum. So we'll clean this all up, and yeah, not too bad. And some screws. And these ones I usually skip, but these are hard times, so fly through and get this thing done. They're really not that hard to separate. And voila, it's clean. Make it a little bit smaller so it fits in the bin. And the next item that we can make a big impact, this bin shouldn't take very long to clear out. That's going to go in as dirty brass, because I'm in a hurry and I just don't care. And then these pieces, a little fiddly, but they're aluminum. So we'll undo some screws, and then those little thingies are just press fit in there. So tap it in the sweet spot, and yeah, get this cleared out. Bit of Lumex, I'll throw that in the bin. And these, we'll just call them number 2 insulated wire. Done. Now, that bin of brass that we pulled out of one dumpster the other day, that's mostly brass and ice. And these little valves are all going to go in as dirty brass, so we'll just get those in their own bin. And then we'll pick through with a magnet and separate the steel and everything else. And check to see what's brass and what's not. And that's just zinc. So there. That's a bin of clean brass. And some stainless steel, and some dirty zinc aluminum alloy. I got a bin for that too. Put these in the clean brass, and there's our bin of dirty brass. That's not too bad. No, I'm not going to pick them apart and clean them. And here's the other bin of brass. This was a gift from Smasher. And there's some good stuff in here. Oh, look at this thing. Cool. Seems like most of this counts as clean. Maybe not that one. Maybe not those. But the rest of this, I'm going to be picky and try and make sure I don't get a whole bunch of ice and leaves in here. But for the most part, yeah. Now, this one. Yeah, it should be pretty simple. Okay, gave the hammer a try, but this is a job for the vise. And it does it admirably. Look how easy that was. Now, this one is a big, beautiful piece, but we want it a little cleaner than that. Get this wax ring off the flange. It's still kind of gross. And so is my Phillips head. This part's kind of satisfying, kind of annoying. A little bit of everything. Thankfully, good enough is all we're really going for here. So that'll do. What's next? Ooh, yes. This box number 1 from my computer friend. So that's going to be a whole lot of wires, and I'm just going to go flying through these. I'm not super picky about getting every inch of wire. Other people might be. I've learned it's not time well spent. And next up, box number 2 from my computer friend. And this one has a whole assortment of those. I really don't want to spend too long on any of this though, so I'm going to start with sorting it out. That's a nice chunk of brass. I want some garden shears with aluminum handle. Couple screws. That'll add to the weight. Now, CPU coolers. Thought the hammer might work, but those are just held in with these little, I don't know, tension, spring, ring, clip, whatever. There you go. That's clean extrusion. So, make a stack of drives, a stack of hard drives, and what else do we got going on here? Some fingerboards and some RAM. I'll try and get everything out of the bags, and we'll just fly through this wire as well. Yes, some of them might work, but that's not why they're here. And there we go. So this, first we'll confirm it's brass, and now looks like a job for our newest friend, the scrap hammer. That's a piece of clean brass and a piece of dirty brass. Now the RAM and the fingerboards, I'm just going to stash those away. Still don't know what to do with them all, but they're worth keeping. And those hard drives, I know some people get really good prices for the logic boards that are on them, the same as the disk drives, but the truth is I don't. So these are going in as steel and dirty aluminum. That's just the nature of these things in the area I'm in. And a pile of aluminum, some cast and some junky aluminum. And these coolers, I'm used to seeing a little lump of copper on each of them, but basically none of those have any. This one, well, that one might be sneaky copper. Let's have a look. And indeed it is. Another job for our friend the hammer. This is just going to be soldered on there, so my goal is really just to do enough damage to break the solder. And eventually I did get it separated. That is a nice copper plate. And then this one, same deal. The copper's not hiding, but we still want to separate it from the aluminum. Yeah, job done. Add that to the stash. Beautiful. Now the next bin is all this cast aluminum, and it does look pretty clean and sorted. But I want to double check because, yep, no, that piece is actually zinc aluminum alloy. The rest of those, pretty good. I don't know why these pieces of steel are burned. And Smasher's got some weird hobbies. And some other aluminum, and then these ones still have the bearings in them. But those are pretty easy to get out. Ding. There's one. Pop that little tin cap off as well. There it goes. And 2. All right. That is a bin of clean cast aluminum. Now, this one I've been looking forward to. Just a bucket of copper. How beautiful is that? It's a bit mixed up, so we're gonna take a minute to sort it out. Separate the pipe from the wire. Shouldn't take too long, and I don't have to be super picky because this wire is going in as number 2 anyway, so that gives us some freedom. I will clean those ones up a little bit. There we go. Number 2 pipe, number 2 wire. This is the bucket I had half full already, so I did my part. But now, let's work on some of these. Now, to do these properly, you really want a fresh blade, so my plan is I'm going to get through as many as I can of the steel casings on one blade, and then I'll use a fresh blade to cut through the copper. I've got more motors sitting and waiting. And yes, I'm wearing eye protection. And yeah, that's the job. Let's do a bunch. I like doing these motors in batches because the truth is they don't really take that long. And here's a different type of motor. We'll just cut through the screws on the side. It's another piece of clean cast. This one is actually glued together. So I'm just going to break the aluminum and that should work pretty well. Et voila! split these off, and there we are. Okay, ready for phase 2, which is, I mean, most of you have seen me do this a dozen times before, so I'm not going to go too crazy. Just going to remove the top bit, and those are ready for stage 3. This one, if you look closely when I pull it out here, you can see it's all aluminum windings. There might be a round of copper inside there, but that's where we're going to stop on this one. This one is a little weird. These ones are always kind of annoying. I'd rather they were all the same, but these show up from time to time, so I'm going to try and slice off one end of these windings nice and clean. Try is the operative word here. I had mixed results. Yeah, it was kind of a big time sink here, but yeah, we got there. Those are the ones I like. Now that's all good copper we've made a mess out of, so no sense wasting that. It's not to say I've never wasted copper dust before, but this is a non-zero amount. Then we come in with the demo hammer. Feel free to consider this a showcase of how you can get good results even with terrible technique. Now this one was surprising. The first part was a real pain, but it was probably the easiest one to get the windings out of after that first part. Ding. There we go. Try to minimize the amount of plastic going in there. It's going to be number 2 no matter what we do, so I just don't want to get downgraded. And after all that, we ended up with 4 motors, which were aluminum wound. Alright, an evening well spent, I think. So that's 2 buckets of number 2 copper windings to go with that pile of stuff. And pretty excited to bring that in. We'll do that real quick. But because the price of copper is actually okay, 5% lower than it was a month ago, but still quite strong, I figured it's probably a good time to go ahead and try and clean these things out. Now, I did a test piece, and they're actually pretty simple. This is that, well, it's like BX cable, but really thick and has an outside coating on it. Anyway, I found if you just take a really big knife, you can slice the rubber coating off of the outside pretty easily, and then a pair of pliers, you can open up the end of the aluminum sheeting and pull the rest of the wire right out of there. Works pretty good. And we'll take a minute to strip all those down, clean them up, and we've got, there we go, some nice coils of Bare Bright. Now, those are really nice, and I'd rather hang on to them because they're dense, and yeah, so instead of bringing those in to recycle, I'm going to bury those in a hole in the backyard and bring in this bin of number 1 copper pipe because it's kind of full, and I'm struggling to fit more stuff in there. So this one, ugly, low density, take that one in, low density, stash away for a rainy day, cash on hand. It's good to have, you know, that's one of the... Anyway, let's get this loaded up. Alright, we're back, and I gotta say that went better than expected. Total of $443 to go towards the car parts. And I think that puts us right in the slot. That is over the line. I can order the parts. We'll talk more about that later. Don't you worry. I'll put the receipt up just in case anybody really wants to know. But it's no surprise the biggest contributor there was the copper windings out of the motors. That was almost half. It was like $200. Anything else stands out? I guess the hard drives, I should probably take them somewhere else because I'm getting a heavy dirty cast for those, which is 8 cents, and that's pretty bad, but they're also a huge pain in the butt to take apart. As we mentioned, it's just what things are like in my area. You probably get more, and that's great for you. The other thing, I guess, is the dirty brass. All of those little ball valves. Yes, I would have gotten maybe twice as much for them if I'd taken the time. But having not taken any time, I got $22 for that, basically the one bag that I pulled out of that bin the other day, if anybody remembers that. So that was super worth it. Yes, I could have made an extra $20 if I wanted to spend, I don't even know how long, separating, cleaning, whatever. This doesn't matter. I decided to go this direction, and I'm happy about it. If you wanted to do things differently in your scrap life, that's your prerogative, and I support it. I'm definitely hoping the shipping on those parts is really fast, but I guess we'll find out. I'd love to share that with you next episode. But in any case, thank you for keeping me company on this one. Hope you had fun, and I hope you click the like button and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, as well as adventures and maybe some guide videos and all sorts of stuff. It's scraptastic. I'll see you there. Leave it better than you found it. Keep doing the thing.